Good afternoon. I'm Alan Unell, and this series of videos is Healthcare Advocacy, where we address problems in the healthcare system and then take actions to make a better system for all of us. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of medical updates today. Before we do, I want to point out that down below in the YouTube description box is a link to the Healthcare Advocacy newsletter that actually has the text for today's video. It also has all the reference and backup material, studies and news articles and actions. Okay, so let's get started. There is a new treatment for ovarian cancer. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration said on March 22nd it had granted traditional approval for AbbVie's guided missile cancer therapy, Elahere, for patients with a type of ovarian cancer, a very specific type. Elahere was approved for adult patients who have a cancer that affects the ovaries, fallopian tubes, or walls of the abdomen, and they have to have received previously 1 to 3 prior lines of treatment, according to the FDA. This was in Reuters, and the link to the Reuters story is in the newsletter. Now, Mifepristone is at the Supreme Court. The U.S. Supreme Court will take up a case on the 26th, which is actually today, that could impact how women get access to Mifepristone, one of the 2 pills used in the most common type of abortion in the nation. The central dispute in the case is whether the FDA overlooked serious safety problems when it made it easier to obtain, including through mail-order pharmacies. In my humble opinion, this is a bogus case. It was brought by doctors who were in no way injured. They sued for injury to a shopped Judge Kaczmarek in Texas, who was an avowed anti-abortionist for God. So they set this up so that they would get this decision. I got to tell you, I'm going to go off script here and tell you, one of the biggest problems with this is if you call into question all the scientists at the FDA and a court can overturn them, what will happen next is that vaccines will lose FDA approval and tons of other medications can be just swept away because of people who don't want them in the marketplace. This is about as dangerous a situation as you can have in the medical world, where a crackpot can actually overturn the FDA. Crackpot is, of course, my opinion. Okay, let's take an action, because there really is something we can do about this. We can remind Congress to fix this and pass H.R. 767 or Senate Bill 4467. They're the same. It's called the Protecting Access to Medication Abortion Act, because 63% of abortions in the U.S. use this medication safely. Now, I will tell you that you can get the contact information for your representative and both of your senators down below in the resources section. I'll put it in the YouTube description box or in the newsletter, or the simplest way. On your cell phone, you can use RESISTBOT, which is a free software. All you have to do is send a text message to 50409, and here's the message: sign SIGN space PBTHNE, sign PBTHNE, and here's the message you'll send them. I'm your constituent, and I want you to actively support and enact H.R. 767 or Senate Bill 4467, the Protecting Access to Medication Abortion Act, because 63% of abortions use this medication, and it is safer than Tylenol. How about a statement in public while the Supreme Court thinks about taking away more rights? By the way, the same arguments used in the Mifepristone case can deny access to many other life-saving drugs and vaccines. Okay, that's the action. Let's talk a little bit about universal health care and healthcare. Now, in the newsletter, you might want to go and get it, is a link to a video by Lee McGowan. She lives in California. She does videos on tons of political subjects. Her YouTube name is Politics Girl, although she's probably well over 40. She does these in her kitchen. She is a pro-democracy advocate who seeks to hold those in authority accountable. All good things. However, this particular video highlights her personal medical issue. She happens to have a deadly lung condition, and her medications are expensive. Without health insurance, she will die because eventually she would not be able to afford the medications. Now, she is glad to have an Affordable Care Act health insurance policy, so she gets to live. There is a political difference in this country centered on health care, and I want to explore that. Democrats favor making sure people have access to health care. Some like the ACA. Some Democrats approve of it. Many would favor expanding Medicaid all over the country so more people could have insurance. However, over half the Democrats in the House of Representatives actually co-sponsored single-payer universal health care, H.R. 3421. That's a lot of representatives. Okay, let's look at the Republican side. The Republicans have been hollering about canceling the Affordable Care Act since Trump went into office in 2016. They favor restricting Medicaid. Not in all states, but almost all of them do. There are some exceptions. Now, let me be clear. Without the ACA, if people lose their health insurance and are sick, a new health insurance policy will be unavailable because of pre-existing conditions. They will be in Politics Girl's position. In fact, I've written about this before. This is exactly what happened in T.R. Reid's book, The Healing of America. There, it's in the introduction, a young woman with lupus was on Medicaid. She had actually had a lupus attack and lost her job, and so she lost her health insurance, moved back home with mom and dad, got on Medicaid. However, because Medicaid is different in all 50 states, her state legislature, which set up the formulary of available prescriptions, decided that her prescription wasn't going to be covered. And the result was tragic. She went through multiple organ failures and died. So that's what happens without insurance. Now look, there's a name for all of this, and it's not a happy name. This is called medical eugenics. And what it means is if you're not smart enough or rich enough to pay for medical care, then you should be allowed to die. I know this sounds absurd, but it is spoken about generally quietly by many who claim to be conservatives. Let me tell you, I first heard about this from Representative Adam Schiff when I was his constituent. He relayed the story that someone came up to him at the Burbank Mall and shared it with him because he was their representative, and he was just shocked. And over the years, he has heard this over and over and over again. So this is just a sad state in America, and I want you to remember this when you go to vote. Okay, so look, spread the word, a word to the wise, elections are coming. Make sure that people know that one party favors health insurance of some kind, and the other party, they just don't care too much about insurance or people. Okay, that's what I've got for you today. Down below, you can like, share, subscribe, send me a comment in the YouTube comment area, or you can send me a comment at healthcareadvocacy1@gmail.com. Have a good evening, and I'll talk to you later.